Give it a moment here. What is up? Get in the loop. Really, I've got a makeshift. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can hear me, great. If you can't, let me know. It's going to be a little difficult for me to read the actual Facebook comments, but I'm going to put this bad boy here. Hopefully you can hear that, huh? So let me see what's cracking before we get rocking and rolling. We got to make sure everything is good to go. And then we will jam out to some Q&A sessions. Dion, HC Aqua, what is up? So, Dion, you said you can hear me, correct? Because if that's the case, then we are good. Jacob, what is up, my brother? Let's test it here. What is up, my Yep, okay, we're good. So you can see this. I'm going to take this off and just kind of rest that here, and we'll be good to go. KG, Cichlids, what's going on? Facebook, YouTube. I don't have all the fancy stuff. Shout out to Coca-Cola. I don't like vanilla. Yeah. But we're going to make this a fun stream. Sounds very clear, like you're going to sing a song. Quit playing games with my heart, George Fishtank, what's up from San Antonio, brother? I just want to have some fun tonight, answer some questions. Haven't done this in a while. Salam alaikum, Adel Sheikh, sponsored by Coke. No, I wish I was sponsored by Coke. How about shout out to Current USA, Carib Sea, Universal Rocks, Seachem, and Boyd Enterprises for all of their amazing support over the years, and Marineland, actually. Tony Ferguson, what's up, brother? Whoo! So I apologize to the Facebook folks. You're up here, YouTube's down here. I'll do a lot of looking down here, and I won't be able to see the YouTube comments will come through, but Facebook comments will not unless I can figure out how to do this. Everybody's Adam Pooley, Keith Robinson, John Morgan. So everybody sounds good on this side, they said. I don't know how to do the split screen thing. I guess it would pay to know your equipment before you went on, but I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not very good at any of this. So I want to talk about fish. I want to talk about, I don't know, the whole 9 yards. You know, you're talking about fish. You're talking about, you know, what's going on in the fish keeping hobby, what needs to change. Speaking of change, I'm sorry, but Jack Daniels took the spotlight today. I don't have Crown. I ran out, and lucky enough, low-key put Jack Daniels in that. I already did. I did it before anybody even got on here. So, Lisa Phillips, what's going on? Lookout plugs incoming. Pam Chin, what's going on? So, first off, I want to say that this is the first live stream of 2018, and I have no agenda for it. I don't know what's going on. Literally, none of those folks are sponsoring this video. I said literally a lot. I was actually being a fool. Let's put it that way. I'm looking forward to some new species in the hobby. Who's collecting African cichlids with a boat? Tell me I want a pink hat. Clearly, dude's a little cuckoo. Jamie McDonald, it's a pleasure seeing you here as well, sir. Nico, what's up, friend? Jared still says the plugs are coming in. I'm not sure that the plugs are going to come in. So a lot has happened in 2017. A lot. I mean, whether it was good, bad, ugly, friends gained, friends lost, it doesn't matter. A lot has happened within the fish hobby. A lot has changed in the fish hobby, and a lot will progress in the fish hobby. You're always going to have your know-it-alls. You're always going to have the folks that think the moment they make a YouTube video or if Facebook something or they Instagram something and they get a like or a half a like and a thumbs down, they're automatically famous and they're able to just give whatever information they want whenever they want. There's also this mentality that I hope changes at some point. Jeff Morris, what's up, my friend? Sandy Moore, what is going on? Seagrass Farms, folks, you know who they are. So shout out to Sandy Moore. Thank you so much. There's this mentality that you have become someone and that you can continue to reciprocate free product or you can gain subscribers to gain money, to gain free product, to have some sort of clout within the fish hobby. This is not the case. There are very few folks within the fish hobby that garner enough of that attention that are going to get those things. Those are the ones that don't gloat. They're not the ones that go, oh man, Marineland gonna send me a canister. You don't even know it. You know what I'm saying? They gave me a canister. And then you've got some that won't say it publicly, but they will say it and they'll be like, man, the only reason these people be with me is because I'm famous, yo. Get out of here with that. You're not famous in a sense. So you have to understand that. Ralph Citron, I took your advice and I ordered the Sun 704 Bravo. You were right. What a decent filter for the price. Put it on my 75-gallon African cichlid mix. Awesome advice. So let me segue into that. You'll also find in the fish hobby, Billy Bonzo. ¿Qué pasa, Señor Wilson? I'm doing good, actually. You'll find that because you have it and somebody else doesn't like it, they don't like that brand, they don't like what it stands for, or they simply just don't like anything about it, they're going to disagree with you. And that's okay. Disagreeing is something, but it goes something like this. Man, check out my Sun. I really love this filter. Great advice. Thank you, Ralph. Then Jay Wilson comes in and says, you're only going to love that for like 5 minutes because once it breaks, you're going to be pissed. Really? I know I'm going to be pissed once it breaks. It's the same thing with a car. It doesn't mean because you had a bad experience or you read about, 35 other bad experiences that is a bad product. J.H. Gannon from Canada, what's up, man? KP Aquariums. That doesn't make it a bad product. What it means is that product has become so popular from promotion and talk about and being utilized, and it's very cost effective, that the more people that get that product, you're going to experience some sort of failure. It goes the same with anything, whether it's a filter, whether it's a car, whether it's a company that puts on roofs, whether it's a food company. At some point, somebody will have a recall, there will be issues, and there will always be people that will not be satisfied. And just as Jamie McDonald said, we're all entitled to about 1/6 billionth of the world's opinion. My only issue with Suns is the UV bulbs making the media trays brittle. Absolutely, Billy. When I first started using them, I had those suckers on all the time. And then I realized that's not something that needs to be on. That's not something that needs to be on all the time, or if ever. It's still an affordable product and it still should be utilized, but you don't necessarily need a UV sterilizer. Case in point, I had a message 2 days ago. I've got a UV sterilizer, I've got a parasitic outbreak, and I need to use it. Okay, for what? There's a lot of other variables when you're trying to give information, but people are too quick to read, to respond. They don't read to comprehend. We said this time and time again. So they read that it is a parasitic outbreak, that, yeah, you use a UV sterilizer. Me, I said, why? Well, I got sunken belly. What's the fish? Turns out it's an albino something. Typically, albinos are the weaker of any species, regardless of how hardy the actual genetic species is, as opposed to the genetic variable of being albino. So I said, well, they're just weak fish. It could be stress. It could be many variables. Well, I've got an 18-watt sterilizer for a 220-gallon tank. Not even close. You need close to 40 watts. So you're absolutely wasting money, time, and energy thinking about a UV sterilizer that you didn't even buy properly to get in the right tank. So that's something you got to think about. Ron Villa, what's up? What happened to y'all's fish store in Garland? I was going to come by and buy some fish. WN Thunder 36. The store went up in a sense. It didn't fully get publicized like crazy. It didn't have this big push like we were going to do. And then we trickled out of steam. I got sick. I had surgery. I was out. I was commuting. The gentleman that was my partner in it, who is still a friend and he's still a partner, but not in the sense of all things aquatic. There was just not enough time for him to get there while I was down. When I got back, it was a chaotic experience. And I think right now what we need to focus in on are the other things that we're doing. His business. I need to focus in on what I'm doing with Universal Rocks, moving down here in my family. Folks, I'm still not moved to Texas. We started this in July. I'm still not here. So it is a long, lengthy process, and people have to understand that although you want something to work very well, and I could have very well made it work, it just would have been half-assed, and I don't want to do something that way. If I'm going to do something, it has to be 100% or it's not going to be any, and a lot of people can attest to that. Let's see. UV sterilizers are not all that, but a water change is all that in a bag of chips. Thank you, Dion. When I buy plants from Universal Rocks, do they have a layout in the sun so they can ruffle out correctly? Maybe. You want to be like that? Maybe. It depends on what kind of plants. They're fake plants that look realistic. You know, you get really close and absolutely can tell, but when they're in the tank with water and some fish, if you don't get crazy with them, they're absolutely going to look real, and that's why I like them. Do you think it's possible that all things aquatic will make a return selling? Yes and no. If you wanted to come in and talk fish and look at tanks and things like that, I can absolutely help you get fish. That's easy. But I don't know if we're going to get to the scale of bringing them on like an actual local fish store. That takes a lot of logistical work. It takes a lot of people. And, you know, like Corey McElroy from Aquarium Co-op. My man cannot do it by himself because of all the things he's into. And so if I did that, if I'm doing my career with Universal Rocks, and then I have Northfin USA as my business, and then I go into trying to get fish to people, selling Northfin locally, still trying to maintain the job at the same time without hiring somebody right away until you make enough money to hire somebody, you put yourself in a position not to help people the way they need to be helped. So case in point, I don't think so right now. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but I wouldn't count it out. So if I come to Universal, you think y'all can sell me some fish? Because if so, I will come. It depends on what you want. We've got fish right now. Absolutely. Come and check it out. But if you're coming 2-3 hours, I can just tell you in private message what we got, and you can decide if you want to be there. We'll put it that way. So my 9 watt on my 125 ain't doing shiznaki. Absolutely, Max Cichlids. It is not doing you any justice. So let me give you an example of things that I want to see change in the hobby. I could be wrong. Fish Pimp, sup man? Mr. Wilson, I'm still using my FX5 filters with no issues. Michael Carroll, absolutely. Michael Carroll and I go back all the way to like when I first started in fish. We were both going to the same local fish store. And I mean, the dude's still rocking cichlids, which is awesome. So let me explain something. Somebody came in today to Universal Rocks and they were interested in some backgrounds. And then I'm going to get to this question. They were interested in the background, and they had kept Mbuna most of their life. And folks, I'm going to preface this. This is not black and white. This is not written in a book somewhere. This is my thought process based off of research that I have done in the African cichlid hobby. Not the fish hobby, but the African cichlid hobby. She said, I am going to purchase a 150-gallon tank. This is the dimensions. I want a background, and I'm going to have about 40 to 45 fish in there. Peacocks. South Carolina cichlids, what's up? Now, in essence, that rings true that overstocking cichlid tanks helps with aggression. That is the best, worst information any person could ever receive as a new person in the African cichlid hobby. Like I said, this is not 100% of the time, but what I'm saying is most of the derived information that comes to us in favor of African cichlids is brought in part by the pseudotrophius, the Mbuna. Flynn's Fish Room, what's going on, buddy? If anybody is on YouTube doing their thing, check out Flynn's Fish Forum, Flynn's Fish Room, Flynn's everything. The kid is doing some cool stuff. Mbuna, yes, I recommend overstocking them, and I recommend having the proper filtration, and I recommend doing things the right way. But when you start getting to haps and peacocks, the thought process stops when we realize that they get much bigger. But we don't think that way because we got information based off of old information that was given. The hobby has evolved, folks. It evolves every day. But to get to where you were keeping Mbuna and now you're trying to jam pack haps in there, it doesn't work the same way. And then folks go, oh, there's so much work in these fish tanks. I can't spend time with my family, and I can't go out and party and play video games and eat tuna rolls and love just everything and watch cat videos. Well, no. How many tanks do you have? Well, I got really excited, and so I bought like 7 10-gallon tanks, and I've got a 150-gallon, and I have 600 fish. Well, that is the point. You've now just decided to jump into a completely different species within a genus, and then what happened? Now you have more maintenance, more freaking water changes, more everything, but you have less time to do all this stuff. But it's cool, bro. I've got my shirt. I got my fishes up in my 15-gallon. And I'm posting my videos. And in 6 months, you're burned out because you decided that you had to have every single fish that was in the catalog. And that put you in a bind because they're not pseudotropheus. Anacara are not pseudotropheus. Haplochromis are not pseudotropheus. Tropheus are not pseudotropheus, hence the word pseudo, which if I doubt she's still watching, but Pam says they're called pseudotropheus because they wish they were tropheus. So I have such an aggressive, what does this say? I have such an aggressive douche. You help me identify these little guys. He's nipped my female's fins to crap. Yeah, I mean, that happens. So the moral of the story, if you're going to keep African cichlids, not cichlids, when you say cichlids, there are so many different fish that can be grouped within that genus. You have angelfish, you have discus, you have smaller cichlids, you've got the shell dwellers, you've got tropheus, you've got haps, you've got peacocks, you've got mbuna. There are so many different fish, South American, Central American, all these are grouped into cichlid. So when you say I overstock my cichlid tank, I think that's an old school method that was derived from the original information that helped when it first started. So think about it. If you, I say this lightly because I have friends, Big Country, what's up? Ruben Rivera. I have friends that sell fish, right? Not sell fish, but sell fish. And most of you folks know these people, and you can go ask them. But there are times where people will come back to me and say, hey, I reached out to fill in the blank, and they told me my 75-gallon, I could probably put about 30 peacocks in there. This is a business move. And I don't agree with that business move. There are reputable places out there that will tell you something different. You can easily go to a variety of places. I'm not even going to name names. You can easily go to a variety of places that are going to give you the right information for the right tank setup for the right species. Doesn't mean you have to just keep a specific species altogether. I'm not saying that has to be done, and not everything I say has to be completely done. But what I am suggesting is that you do a little bit more research, the same way you would if you were buying a home, a car, hopefully getting into a relationship, instead of just impulse buying on fish because you like their colors or you want to collect them. Like, what did Dion say? I want to collect all the fish. Who's doing all these boats? I want a pink hat. That type of mentality will get you stuck because you're never going to be, you're chasing something that doesn't exist. Does that make sense? What's up with these crazy looking nice gobies? Gobies are legit. However, they are very aggressive. Dion just said, any question you ask, you can ask Google. Dion, you are so far from the actual reality of what it is that I find that laughable. You can ask Google just about anything. Doesn't mean Google's going to tell you the right answer. Google's going to give you the answer based on the most popular answer, which isn't always the right answer. So, folks, before you use Dion's method of checking Google, make sure the source you are looking at is correct. Another case in point, I was talking to somebody who had a question about their albino fish. Turns out it was leucistic. But the forum that they got it off of said that it was albino. Word is truth, bruh. No. Folks, you got to understand. You have to be able to decipher the information. Keeping fish is not for the lazy. So when I see somebody that says, I got 100 tanks set up, I know that person can get down. Do African cichlids swim in schools? Certain African cichlids will school, but not in the sense of what you're thinking. You're going to get a female spitting out babies, fry, and they're going to kind of school in their own sense around what they're doing. Matthew, the GCCA, what is going on, my brother? So they don't school per se, but you got to remember, most fish will kind of hang with the same, but if there's too much of the same in too small of a space, they're going to become aggressive. Typically seen with African cichlids, if that makes any sense. But when you look at a colony of Tropheus, when I had the Moray Kasanga red rainbow, they didn't school per se, but they hung out in their colony. And of course, there's going to be deaths, but when you get to the bottom of it, they're only finding their hierarchy, just like any living creature in the world. I put my foot in my mouth. Yeah, it happens. So you gotta hit YouTube and the forums. Again, it's all relative. Some of the information I say is outdated after I say it. Here, let me grab the book. You want to know where to get information? Read a book. Read an actual book, not some picture book. Get to know a species of fish. For instance, the rock-breeding utaka. The utaka, the native name for the zooplankton-feeding haploachromines, are the most important and probably the most successful group in the lake. When dealing with cynotilapia, feeding in the water column bestows one great advantage over the bottom-dwelling cichlids, and that is availability of space. So there you go, gaining information from a book that took me less than 5 seconds. I didn't even have to type. How easy was that? There's even scientific names, so when you look at a lot of lists that are brought out, you know exactly what the fish is. This is Malawi cichlids in their natural habitat, 5th edition. It's probably, well, it's backwards on mine, but it's not backwards on the stream, so get it. Books are life. I mean, look at Jeff Bezos from Amazon. He started with books. Let's see. I have one convict cichlid that constantly chases the other convict, won't let him out of some of the plant cover, both males. If you got females in it, you're going to have it. It happens with most any species when two males are trying to figure out who's the better male for the females. Jack and Coke. Nice. So let's get some questions. Larry Deskins, what's going on? Jay Wilson is in the loop. Sean Collins said, mistake number 1, I bought 2 Jacks, 4 Red Jewels, and 4 African mixed tank. Boy, that went bad. And it probably went bad in a hurry. I'm glad you learned from the mistake, but it does all happen. I mean, when I first started, the store I was getting fish from was giving me information that wasn't the best information. I can't say the information is wrong. If you go into a local fish store, but they give you information, it doesn't always mean it's wrong. Sometimes it may not be the best information for your situation, but it has worked for that place of business or that person for years, and they have a lot of knowledge. But like I said, even myself giving information, sometimes it's not the best information for that person's situation. I pulled out a book and someone said I was an idiot. Do not just use Google. Do not just use Google. Well, I mean, that's what we've become as a society, but at some point, information stays readily available at all times in a book, as long as there's not a disaster of some sort, and you can't change it. I can't say, hey, folks. Well, actually, I guess I can, because a lot of people do this through a lot of different hobbies and religions and things, and they'll say the general characteristics of a petrotilapia species have been discussed on page 35. The members of this genus can be divided into 3 habitat-related groups, and many rocky shores harbor a species from each group. There is also a single locality where you find more than 3 different species. It's Thumby West Island. I can say, well, what this person means is, and then go into a forum and be like, hey, I was reading the book, Malawi cichlids in their natural habitat, and what I read is that there's 7 species that come from Thumbelina West Point. Now, guess what? I become credible because I said book, put it on the internet, and now people are trying to figure out where Thumbelina is. It's not Thumbelina, it's 3, not 7, but it's because I referenced the book. But if somebody would just get the book themselves instead of being lazy, you could have had the information readily available right the first time, because rework makes the work longer. Do it right the first time. I know that I want peacocks and hats. There are several species that I know I want. Working with Dave at Dave's Rare Fish on what species will work best together. Amazing. Dave is an awesome dude. He's knowledgeable. He knows what he's doing. And yes, he has a business, but he's not just out to make a buck. So I highly encourage you to continue working with him. I usually use the search bar on the lounge to get questions to answer. It helps me every time. That's awesome. I really like to hear that. Just keep up with your water parameters until you get a book, you guys. Dion, you keep being silly, buddy, and you're gonna find yourself at the bottom of the fish tank. With a lot, yeah, you can keep up water parameters all you want, but what water parameters are you testing, Dion? That's great information, but what's the situation? Just curious. Ad Koning says great books on African cichlids. Yeah, absolutely. When I first started back in the hobby, I used YouTube and a lot of advice from more experienced hobbyists. Some things worked, some things didn't. Jennifer, you hit the nail on the head. You've got to understand exactly what information you're using, when you're using it, how you're using it. You're looking at my 75-gallon. It's got 3 fish in it. Don't listen to me. Don't. What's up, Jason? Need another pallet or a whole bunch of clear bottles? Sure, Turbo Fish. What games do you play on the Switch, bruh? I like Mario Kart. I've played Zelda. It's a little too open for me. I've got the original Mario on there. Hey, I like fish. Yeah, you can go ahead and send me some candy genus. Bear tilapia is what I'm seeing people like. What would you recommend for an ideal beginner African tank? Tank size, filtration, aquascape. I really want to start African tank soon. So Flynn, it depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for a lot of movement, a lot of craziness, a lot of color? Or are you looking for something that's simply easy? And if you're looking for something that's simply easy and it's readily available, that will probably be some of your lower class peacocks and a lot of your mbuna, pseudotropheus. I wouldn't necessarily mix them just for the sheer fact that there's going to be some problems at some time. If you really want to get a nice beginner tank, I would highly recommend something like a 55-gallon, something of that size. If you want to go a little smaller, maybe a 40-gallon breeder, and get yourself some smaller ACIs. Put some nice rocks in there. You don't have to go crazy with plants. Matter of fact, you don't even really need plants. Maybe some holy rock or some stacked rock somewhere. And the blue and yellows on the ACI, and you can get a nice colony for relatively inexpensive. And if you're a part of a club where they're auctioning off stuff, you can get them for extremely low cost. And I think you'll be really happy with those. But if you're looking for something more advanced, that's where you jump into a lot of these online lists or places such as Imperial Tropicals, Dave's Rare Fish, Southeast Cichlids, the Cichlid Shack, the Wonder of Cichlids, Cunningham Cichlids. These are places you can go to find. Sometimes you're more rare fish or you're more in-demand fish that are much bigger, but then we're talking about bigger tanks other than a 55. And when you're filtering the ACIs, you really don't have to get crazy. You can simply do a hang on the back. If you're willing to do a lot of work, you can use sponge filters. You can use a sump. There's so many different variables. But if money's low and you've got an HOB laying around, a nice little colony of Pseudotropheus ACI, which I don't know. I think ACI or Pseudotropheus. I don't know if they've been reclassed or anything like the Demasoni, which I jack up all the time. You'd be definitely set, and I think you'd really like that tank. Let's see. GH and KH, don't worry about the pH. Always keep 0 on. So Dion doesn't worry about the pH. Always keep 0 on the nitrites and nitrates and ammonia. So Dion's a little confused. Water change is the best you can do for your fish and keep the fish that go together. Okay, so you're not going to keep 0 nitrates. So Dion, I'm not sure what you're trying to do there or if it's a mistypo. And I'm going to go with a mistypo because you're readily pumping out some information to YouTubers all the time. But nitrates are always going to be more than 0 if you have a well-established tank. You don't want them more than 40. I don't chase pH, but I like to keep a stable pH. GH and KH come into play with me when I'm looking at a specific species of fish that is more sensitive than others. And like I said, I'm not chasing these numbers. I'm looking for consistency. So, like I said, no more than 40. But doing water changes is always going to help. Nitrate is a slow killer, but you're not going to have 0 like Dion. Colleen Wilson, are you alone? I hope so. Do you like Facebook? Facebook is itself. Jay, how can I go about changing my substrate in the 125 from pool filter sand to Carib Sea, and how difficult would it be? Ruben Rivera, it's not going to be difficult. It's going to be messy. Okay? It's going to be a process. You're going to probably stress out your fish, and you're going to probably throw your tank into a fritz. So if you've got a holding tank you could put the fish in, that would be the best in my opinion. Jay, what's your take on Biohome? Never used it. I've been using Marine Pure. I remember I tested it in the A-Round Nature tank. It turns out that it was falling apart on me. I've got it drying out to see if it's still going to fall apart as it's drying out. So stay tuned to that. It's not going to be a full-length YouTube video. It's just going to be a quick little, hey, look, my Marine Pure is falling apart, so to speak. No problem. Lisa Phillips, I just rescued all my 75-gallon, never really kept cichlids before. Literally by reading and watching, I've learned so much and still so much to learn. I keep semi-aggressive freshwater. Absolutely. I mean, you never can know enough when you're looking at a hobby like this. I mean, it's with anything. If you're constantly looking to learn or build your knowledge base, you're good. Skip feedings also if necessary, and only feed what your fish will eat in several minutes. I actually only feed my fish what they'll eat within the first 30 seconds to a minute because I'm not trying to dump all the food in right away. I typically slow down and just do a little bit, let it get eaten up, do a little bit more, let it get eaten up. I don't do the plop and drop so much unless I'm feeding the larger predator haps because they typically just get crazy on it. He's not a lone fisher in the room. Whoa, I just skipped a bunch. I apologize. And if I don't get to your question, I'm not ignoring you. I've got 2 feeds going on, and I'm trying to read them side by side. I'm not fancy like some people are really fancy. I'm not jealous, but I wish I had some of their fanciness. Hey, Jay, would you consider Azurus a good fish for a beginner tank? Jason, I don't know because they're very timid. They're not really an aggressive fish, and I think they do okay in a mixed tank. But I really think they do much better when they're just in their own tank with their own species. But as a beginner fish, yeah, it's okay. I mean, I love the pectoral fins. They get massively huge, really nice colors. Let's see. If you have a planet tank, it is not all unreasonable to have 0 nitrate. 0 is very achievable. Yeah, we're not talking about planet tanks. I don't know much about planet tanks. We're simply talking about our omnivore, herbivore, crazy, non-plant, nitrate-absorbing tanks. And typically you're going to have nitrates 99.9% of the time. Is it possible that the rocks that I've put in my tank are lowering my pH? Currently have no fish. I get, anything is possible in a fish tank. It's such a small, uncontrollable environment. So is it possible? Maybe, but I doubt it. It could be affecting. It just depends. It's really hard for me to say yes or no, and I apologize. You have to fertilize to increase nitrates more often than not. I mean, it's something I learned today. Does my substrate carry beneficial bacteria, and is it going to throw my fish tank into a whack? Yes, it can carry beneficial bacteria. And it possibly could throw it into a whack. I wouldn't say it's holding a ton of beneficial bacteria. And it really just depends on how much sand you have in there. Depends on what the rock is made of. Go test your rock. Yeah, there you go. Dion. It's all about how many fish you have, how you are feeding, what you are feeding, and how often you squeeze them bottom tray course pads. Oh, Dion. Okay, I've had nitrates, but it's the check engine light to change one of these filters on my tank. So Dion didn't have nitrates before. Now he has them and he's using it as a check engine light. I don't understand what you are saying. I plant my sump. It's the way to go. Great idea. Throw some plants in your stump. Smash that like button. You can hit the dislike. I don't care. Jay, what's up, brother? This is a pleasant surprise. Yeah, it's a little different. I think one of my male peacocks is actually a female. Any tips in actually being able to breed them? I only have 6 fish in a 55. Well, if you thought you had a male and it's a female and you don't have a male, I don't know how you're going to breed them. But honestly, just get the right ratio of male to female and everything should go perfectly fine. I don't think you're going to have an issue. Once you get 1 male to 4 female, 5 female maybe, you should be okay. Try and sand in my tank with real rocks. I am concerned about gassy pockets. I'm going to go over here because it just disappeared on me. Under the rocks that I can't reach. Do you recommend stirring up the sand as best as possible during water changes? Oh, absolutely. You have to. I mean, it was with anything that can trap any sort of gas, which most people don't pay attention to. If substrate's too deep, it traps gas. You mix it up and you haven't mixed it up in a long time, guess what happens? Dead fish. The first peacock I ever bought has not grown. It's been months as I've watched others grow like wildfire. Any ideas why? Could be water, could be genetics, could be the ability for him to get food, could be hormones. There's so many different variables to go in, but it happens. Camilo Ramira. It is Camilio the barber from back in the day from Jersey. What's up, brother? Sean Collins is breeding split dorsal fin peacocks. Is this wrong to do or promote? This was a little debate that we had in the aquatic lounge. Split fin. So are you intentionally creating a disorder to profit from? So if I told you I had 6-leg sheep and I was breeding them, is that okay? Split fin fish is just a marketing gimmick to get you to buy fish because clearly we're not able to get fish, I guess. And I don't know where these fish are coming from. I don't know what is going on. But yes, I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's the best thing. And I think eventually it's deformed and it should not be promoted if you are in the hobby for the right reasons. If you are just somebody that's, going through the motions and you're trying to collect fish like stamps, do your thing, I guess. I don't think that's a great thing. I'm not going to promote that. I don't condone that, but I'm not stopping you from doing that. But it's not a hybrid. It's a deformed fish specifically bred for the deformity. And I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's a good idea, and I'm not down with it. I mean, that's it. Dion says hybrid is something that is in the hobby. Again, that's not a hybrid. Okay, moving on. Do you use a UV sterilizer? I have 2 FX6. Do I need a separate pump? What model do you recommend? I used to use UV sterilizers. I'm no longer using UV sterilizer. I haven't used them in years. Like I said, I have used them in the past, and I found out that they're actually not doing anything more than what I'm capable of achieving within my tank. And then that's it. Is it best to shut the light at night or use the night setting? Oh my goodness, please. Folks, do not leave that blue light on all night. That is not doing any justice for you. It's only causing much more issues within your tank because you are still utilizing light in that tank. It is something that African cichlids do not need. Moonlight. When it's time to go to bed, it's time to go to bed. Ask breeders. Breeders are doing this. They don't shine moonlight on their fish at night. It's their mixture of 10K or 7K and their actinic, which is the blue light, and then at night it's no light. And don't keep going inside that fish room, flicking on. You're like, oh, hey, how's my fish doing? Oh, that's cool. My OB's doing some cool stuff. Hold on, let me get a camera. Oh, hold on. Oh, the OB's doing some cool stuff again. Calm down. Calm down. Let your fish sleep. They don't have eyelids. They need the darkness. So just think about it. Some hybrids come out looking nice. Hybrids is a different thing. There are certain, wild hybrids that happen, hybridization, and then there are man-made hybridization. I bought fish from a box store with split fin. I'll shoot you a pic. PM me and let me know what you think. I think it's going to have a split fin. But I love to see it. I heard it even helps with their coloring and maturity. What? Who told you that, spunk? I'm getting ready to help a friend with an upgrade from a 150 to a 210. Any tips for us of what you think of not to and what you shouldn't forget? Write it all down. Plan a step-by-step process so that you don't skip any steps. Be patient. Don't rush it. Know that your tank's going to be cloudy. It happens. It will clear up. 90% look, 10% play. Put a video. If you want to see the fish all the time like that, use a security system. No. So here's the new fish keeper.
I'm going to do some videos. They're going to be so sweet. I'm going to post them on the YouTubes and the Facebooks. You guys are going to see all my cute little fish.
We all do it. And then we get the fish in the tank.
People of Fish World, help me. My tank is cloudy. It's only been 3 hours and 37 minutes and 26 seconds. I have 37 fish in my 55-gallon. Please help. Response is needed urgently. Okay, the tank's not cloudy anymore. I did 100% water change. Nitrates is 0, pH is 0, ammonia is 10, and my nitrites is 7. Is everything good? My fish look like they're dying. Help me. I think it's the breeder. Okay, I turned on the lights again. I turned them off. I turned them back on. I'm not sure what's going on. Somebody please comment, like, subscribe, share this, please. I need help. My moonlight is not flickering properly. It's not doing the cool settings. I set it up. Please, is anybody really, helping me? I need help. This is a crappy group.
So this is what we do. And instead of just, you got to relax. And folks, I've been in the same situations. I've done the same things where I've had a 150-gallon crash, instantly, and I did not know what to do. And my wife's like, hi, dummy. Go run to Walmart, get yourself a tank. My wife doesn't sound like this, by the way. My wife, just go get yourself a tank, relax, okay? Use the seated filtration, put it in that fish tank right there. Get those fish out of that tank, and just let's dose it with Prime or Safe and relax. Meanwhile, I'm like,
oh, somebody help me, my fish are dying, my fish are dying.
So, you got to understand this. You have to be patient. You have to not freak out. Sergeant Tanks, what's going on, my friend? Can you do the rest of the Q&A in the leprechaun voice with a top hat?
I'm not sure if I have fishies and they're sick in the gold and the rainbow stuff.
Man, I just lost train of thought. Do you live with your mom? I do. I'm a 34-year-old man living in the basement playing Los Videojuegos, eating a bunch of Doritos and some Cheetos, online chatting and Skyping with my friends, playing a little Skyrim and World of Warcrafties, feeling good, drinking some juicy juice. This is the type of fun I like having. I live in 2 states. Texas is cold. Oklahoma is a little chilly. But it's like 50 degrees. It's cold when you're not utilizing heaters and things like that. But, you get it. Mom's meatloaf. Mom! Meatloaf! You haven't seen a split fin fish unless a fish has taken another chunk out of it, and then you've seen it. I hope I didn't wake anybody up. Let's see. I need a bottle of Jack Daniels. Do you consider Hikari bad food versus Northfin? I was thinking of mixing them. I don't use Hikari. Northfin. If you've got it on hand and that's what you want to do, so be it. If you don't have it, there's no need to go out and buy it. It's use what you use, enjoy what you enjoy, and like what you like. Yeah. Yeah, the 80-20 method, Tony. But 90-10. I think the 20% mess around with your tank is a little rough. How cloudy does Northfin make the water? I don't think it makes the water cloudy at all. But if you're going to dump a half a bag in for 16 fish because you're trying to feed a fish that hangs out in the corner, then yeah. Dion says Northfin's what cool dudes use. Hey, Dion, why are you freaking using it then, guy? Ayo! My bro used to give me the meatloaf line. If x squared plus 4x plus y squared equals 6y minus 12 equals 0 is the equation of a circle, the length of the radius is what? The radius is 17 minus 7 plus Amazon equals prime. $99 a year gets you some movie music's Jeff Bezos rich, which in turn looks at Facebook to promote abs for Amazon, which helps Facebook gain money from Amazon, which equals get in the loop, sucker. Take a drink. You look like you need it. Ah, Don, come on, baby. You know what I'm doing. That wasn't one of the choices. You gave me no freaking choices, guy, huh? Don't be a jerk. Pittsburgh Pets has got some really cool... wow, I lost train of thought. Leopard geckos on Instagram. They all bite and bug bites and Aussie blackworms dried. Do the Aussie blackworms have an accent? It's 5. 3 is 5. My fish haven't looked or acted better since I put them on Northfin. Best stuff ever. I mean, and I appreciate that. I mean, we can sit here and talk about that all night, and that's not something I do want to get into, but I do appreciate the support that Northfin USA Northfin does get. Are you completely clear from the surgery and all? I guess. I mean, I have no idea. It just randomly happened. We took it out. It should be good to go, and that's it. So I would say yes. And that's it. But thank you for asking. I really appreciate that. What was your all-time favorite tank? Probably my 220. Before I put in the crystal wall was my all-time favorite tank. But my new one's going to be pretty sweet. Hey, Jay, I'm ready for a crevice background from a 125. Get it done, man. Let us know. Email us, 9 to 5. I'm there. We'll make it happen. What fish did you end up putting in the empty tank at work? So I haven't put anything in there. And you know what? Forget about it. I'm going to freaking tell you, eh? So we're going to put in some really, really awesome angelfish. And we're going to start with lemon tetra and some neon tetras. And then outside of that, we're looking at cory cats and probably splendens. And I think that'll be a good mix. I've actually re-skipped it today. All right, guys, that's going to be pretty sweet. And so we'll see how it goes. And from there, we'll know exactly how this tank's going to do. I've already talked to the people I'm getting the fish from. I just got to get the tank cycled and we'll be rocking. Mine was your Tropheus. Haven't seen Tropheus in a while. The Tropheus tank was really cool, and it was really neat because my son really liked it. But I have a feeling there's going to be some Tanganyika in there for pretty sweet in my crib, you know? It's going to be like MTV Crib with tanks. Angelfish are sweet cichlids. I like how they pair a bond for life. Northfin fried, Northfin community lifesavers. Awesome. Still water for the video. I love yo-yo loaches and they're so hard to find. Yeah, what's going on, Mitch Bordeaux? I like yo-yo loaches, but you know, this community tank's going to be different for me. So once I figure it out, I think I'll enjoy it. You know, a lot of people are like, yeah, man, that's going to be stupid. You're the African cichlid guy. Why are you going to do that? So what? It's mainly for the fish galleria. And it's mainly for when people come in, they can see a different variety of fish and tanks and backgrounds and things like that. I'm actually scratching my leg. I'm wearing these thick socks because it's cold at work. And my goodness, it makes my legs itch at the end of the night. I really liked your channel before, but now that you work for Unirocks, it seems like you act different. How is that? How do I act? Tell me. So before I worked for Universal Rocks, what was different? Because working for Universal Rocks changed the dynamic of what was happening in my life at the moment. So I'm in transition houses. I'm living with my parents. My wife and I and son are living with her parents. I'm living temporarily down in Texas. I commute home on the weekends. And so, yeah, I don't have enough time to go, what's going on YouTube? It's Jay Wilson. Instagram, Twitter, Jay Wilson. Check out my videos. I don't have time to do all that crazy stuff in the how-tos right now. So it's mainly showing you tanks and setting up until I can get back into the motion and get everything rocking and rolling again. And then once that happens, I think my channel will go back to its ways. But I always take constructive criticism. I do not get upset when somebody makes a picture of me, talks about me, makes a comment about me, or says, you know, I was watching your videos and I don't like your face. What it needs is to be smacked with a cowbell. So, and I know that, and that's okay. So I need to hear these things if I'm going to better myself. It's just like an employee at work. If they suck every day and you say, hey buddy, you're doing a great job, you know, man, you're doing good. Just keep on doing your crappy work and you're going to be the best at nothing, right? But if you told them, they can change. And this message was brought to you part in part by Reading Rainbow. The more you know. I got a fever, and the only cure is more cowbell. If you're doing a 30% water change, can you put normal temp water in? Would it exceed the temp and the actual temp of the water? Science! 30% water change. If it's drastic, it's going to change your water temperature. I typically say you don't want to see a fluctuation of about 3 degrees, 3 to 5 degrees, because you could possibly put the fish into shock. Follow him on social media, and then you can see what he's going through. Don't worry about that. He just had a serious question, and it's good. It's constructive criticism, and it allows me to take that and move forward. I could have been like, you made my butt hurt. I'm so mad at you. Freaking guy over there just Facebook warrior. I'm crying inside, and my family is not affected, and I go home and you make me drink the juicy juice. It's okay. I need to hear this. Drink American. I didn't mean to attack him, was just saying. No, and I understand. I didn't break the camera. I see 2 working. So an old head fish keeper told me you can never change too much water. Is 2 water changes a week, is 75% or more too much? David, is it too much time you're wasting? Could you be doing other things? Are your fish okay with just 1? Then just do 1. But if you have too many fish, not enough filtration. Matt Moore, what's going on, man? It's good to see you. Then you're okay. I don't know. Just saying. 2 mice fell into a bucket of cream. The first mice quickly drowned, while the second mice swam until he turned that cream into butter and crawled out. Today, Jay is the second mouse. Yeah! I'm turning the cream to the butter. Happens. I'm starting 150 peacocks and haps in one tank. How many fish should I put in it at first? You're starting a 150-gallon tank, peacocks and haps. How many fish should I put in at first? So if you can afford to put in more than 5, I recommend getting 10 at a time. If your tank's filtration can handle that much bio load at one time, because you got to remember, if you don't have that many fish and you put that many fish in and your filtration is like, the fudge is this? This is way too many, so many nitrates and so many jibbly bubblies in here. So if your filtration can handle it, Kevin Richards, good seeing you, have a good night. Then yes, do at least 10, in my opinion, if you're setting up a new tank. Mad Cypress, what's up? Good seeing you too, brother. The endpoints of the line definitely are D, 1, 4, and F, 16, 14. Determine and state the coordinates of point E if DE is EF equals 2, the ratio of 3. Quick question. I'm going to do an Indian accent, so I hope it doesn't offend anybody. I don't think this means anything to real life when you're implementing your silly mathematical equations. So my recommendation is you give me something that can work in a business setting, like what is 5 plus 5 or 75 minus 25 for change back to a customer, okay? That's all I'm saying. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Unnecessary for what I will ever do in life. Unnecessary. It's unnecessary! My fish have sunken belly, tried general cure, can't get rid of the internal parasites, fish keep dying. Any idea? It's millet time, baby. So here's the deal. It's always a common theme that the fish, my hair is being really crazy, is the fish are specifically parasitic. And that's not always the case. It could be wasting disease. It could be a genetic thing. It could be stress. They're not getting enough food. And then they die because they don't get enough food. It's the same thing with a human. They may not have parasites, but they just might not have access to the adequate amount of nutrition that they need to survive. Whether it's other people getting in the way of that, which would be fish, or it's an environment thing, or if it's a stress-induced thing caused by various other things, like a ton of things. So it's hard for me to say. But if your water's good, and fish are dropping like flies, then something is awry in that tank. And you have to break down that tank step by step to figure out what you did last, when did it change, how did it change, what are you doing differently, and what are you doing to solve it, and what have you done that hasn't worked that we're not going to try again. Does that make sense? How much of a pain would it be to put one of your Universal Rocks backgrounds in an already set up stock tank? It's not a pain. People do it all the time. It just depends on what you're doing and how you're doing. Do I go fishing? I don't go fishing often. I used to go fishing a lot, but I don't anymore. What type of power head do you use? I don't use one. I typically overfiltrate my tanks, which causes a lot of people to go, "Hey, yo, bro, if you're going to use a ton of those filtration devices, why don't you be a man and use a sump, chump? But if you're going to use a canister, why don't you use a real man's canister? It's the 765 celebratory 6C. Pumps out 750,000 gallons of water per second, bro." So you have to understand that sometimes you'll need it if you don't have enough surface agitation to create gas exchange. But as you can see, I'm actually causing bubbles. This tank's getting broken down. The 15-gallon Shelly's getting broken down. It's all being moved. So as you can see, you don't technically need it. I've got a lot of surface agitation, but bubbles are being developed because the water level is shrinking. Got to bounce. Later, Martin Ramirez. Jay, what would you recommend for Tang rock dwellers? the stacking rocks are good. Or you can use real rocks too, folks. You don't always have to use universal rocks. Yes, I work there, and yes, it would be great if you did. But you don't always have to use them. If you are going to use them, stacking rocks would be the best. Outside of that, any rocks that you can get that you can stack on top of each other, besides those weird cichlid stones, will be beneficial. I have a 4.5 OB in my tank. Will he bother some of my 2-3 inch fish if I were to put them in there? Ask him. Sit him down. Be stern with him. Look him dead in the eye. And say, don't you freaking mess with any of these other fish. I'm just messing with you, Jason. Kenny, yes. Will he? I don't know. You know, there's a lot of variables in fish keeping. A lot of people say, yeah, I know the answer. I'll give it to you. And it'll be the best one you've ever used. But it's not always the right answer. So I don't know. And it's okay to say I don't know, I guess. Jacked up shoulder. They're easy to move around. Absolutely. Why is water wet? Dang it. Such a good question. I find myself pondering that day in and day out. Why is water wet? I don't know. I would have to say it's probably from the nuclear polarization of the left ventricle of the Earth's inner core. Yes. That's it. Why is water so heavy? You're telling me. If you were only to have one cichlid in your tank, he was going to fight with the other male in the tank. What is it? If you only have one cichlid in the tank, he is going to fight with the other male in the tank to prove his dominance. Absolutely. Water is not wet. It's water. It's liquid. Wet is a what? A feeling? Jay, do you think you would ever do a native tank? Based on the locale of where I live in Oklahoma currently, absolutely not. Because I don't... I think 100% of the bodies of water in Oklahoma are man-made. So there's really not much native. So it'd probably be a massive catfish tank or a gar, which I don't have the space for. In Texas, I really don't know what's native here. So I would need to educate myself. Mudsuckers. Yeah, I would need to educate myself more on Texas state fish, if that makes sense. And I believe, excuse me. Oh, I believe there are very few man-made bodies of water by me in Texas. Lace rock will work, Bill Wilson said. Good evening, Cichlid Nez. Next week it'll be tequila and margaritas. I doubt that. Although margaritas are really good. But hey, check this out. It says tequila. Matrix best biomedia for the buck. I think so. People will tell you, go to Lowe's and get pumice stone or lava rock. It does the same thing. Just do it. Okay, I said it. Get a discount. Buy it in bulk. I don't like buying stuff technically from any of the big box retailers that are not fish related or aquatic related, just for the sheer fact that I don't know what's in it. And they're not going to tell me because it's supposed to go outside in the freaking garden. Easy J, you have to work in the morning. Why are the Patriots the best team in the NFL? I'm glad you asked. Because they do their job. They're a unified organization that moves as one. When one gets asked a question, the second one that answers the same exact way as the first one would have. They're all on the same page, whether it's somebody else's page. They're one team, one unified goal, and they focus in on the now, not 2 weeks from now. So when Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, Gronkowski, anybody, Aaron Hernandez, anybody that gets to the podium, that typically gets to the podium, Danny Amendola, anybody who gets to the podium, they'll say, you got the Dolphins in 3 weeks. How do you feel about the Dolphins in 3 weeks? Are you guys focusing on a quarterback? He's doing pretty well. He's throwing some pretty good passes there. What do you feel, Tom Brady? We're playing Philadelphia next week, and we're focused in on Philadelphia. We've got a game plan, and we're going to win. Questions?
Rob Gronkowski, how do you feel about Miami in 16 days? Yeah, we're focused today and tomorrow. We're not worried about them yet.
So, I mean, you got to understand, Belichick is coming to coach the Giants. Fat chance. Fat chance. Belichick will coach until Tom Brady retires. Have a good evening, Josh Cunningham. How do you feel about Garoppolo trade? I get it. However, how much time do we have left with Tom Brady? So, no, this is what you find. This is my last rant for the night. Have you ever thought about having piranhas? No, I've never thought about it. Pat's media impersonation. The hoodie stays in New England. They do. He stays there. No hoodie, no dynasty. Absolutely. He's probably the best coach in the game. Jimmy is a 49er. I understand. And I think he won 2 games there. Garoppolo is going to be a very well-versed quarterback if he doesn't have the Flacco disease where he catches 85 mil and turns out to be a loser. Top 5 running backs. What is this, Sports Nation? Kamara, top 5 next year. Top 5 running backs. I'm a Cardinals fan. I always enjoy the stream, Jay. Thanks, bud. Ben Cheek, you're welcome, brother. It's a pleasure. This is what I have a problem with. It's headlines. Whether it's YouTube videos or the media or whatever. Eagles fan, you shall enjoy your game against the Falcons. 2 birds plucking each other's feathers for domination. However, I don't think the Eagles are going all the way. So I'm sorry. Raiders are going to be interesting. No, okay, before I get into the media, the Raiders are not going to be interesting. The only reason, this is my opinion, and I guess opinions are like bungholios. We're losing Saturday. So the only reason the Raiders will be something is because Gruden, that's what you're talking about, has become the head coach. And the only reason he's come the head coach is because the Raiders are moving to Vegas in 2 years, and they need a little bit of spunk, a little bit of media attention, a little bit of controversy. Gruden hasn't coached in the NFL in years. I think since 2008. He won a Super Bowl, and then his record after the Super Bowl was atrocious. He didn't even have a winning record. So if Gruden moves to the Raiders, he's only there for media attention. He's a great announcer. I love his stuff. I love his style. But when it comes down to it, he doesn't understand the collective bargaining act right now. He doesn't understand how players operate, and he doesn't understand the personality of these young players coming out of college. So when you mix those two along with Gruden's militant style mentality, it's going to be a horrible, horrible start for Gruden. He's going to have to figure it out well. However, I think Gruden, or Chucky, as Joe would say, is going to be what the Raiders need moving to Vegas, if that makes sense. I don't know what you're talking about because I don't watch baseball. That is good. It was football, though. Anything to get Gruden off the air. Vikings will be the first team to win a Super Bowl at home. Go Vikes. So I don't like the catchy headlines. For instance, I saw one today that was like, you know, it was like 440 grams of marijuana seized along with firearms in a home in Lawton, Oklahoma. Stay tuned at 6. It was 5 pounds of weed and 2 shotguns. Folks, come on. 5 pounds of weed? People got more milk in their fridge. People got more ammo chilling at their house than 5 pounds of weed. What are you doing with 5 pounds of weed? Smoking it? Who cares? But it's the way it is delivered. And it's the same thing. It's clickbait. It's not even clickbait. It's a news. It's like 755,000 nanograms of weed has been confiscated from a town near you. Are you scared? They had firearms at 10. Come on, guys. Come on. No, I know. I know what clickbait is. I know what your quotes were. I was being facetious. So I currently have no fish in a cycled 125 tank. How is it still cycled? Just curious. As San Diego Grinago, how is it still um, um, how is it still cycled? Tell me how to deal with the filtration adjusting the biology. What's your recommendation? So you can, your biological filtration will only take on the bio that it can based upon its volume. So, yeah, I wouldn't know unless you told me how much biological filtration you had built up in there. So, folks, I'll take one last off-the-wall question, and then I'm going to end this hour and 10-minute live stream because I'm getting a little tired. Adding ammonia or a piece of raw shrimp. Good. Ammonia nitrates are at 0, and nitrates are at 10. I'm just curious at how you're still doing it. That's all. That's awesome. I'm just curious. So, Lawton is rough. Fake news. Shocker. What is the meaning of life? Have you ever made your own food? I did before, and I'll never do it again. It's a pain in the butt. But what is the meaning of life? Life to me is the journey of emotions through a controlled time space. Everybody has their different viewpoints. Everybody has their different perspectives. And everybody has their different goals that they want to achieve. There will be different obstacles that will make you stronger. There will be obstacles that will make you weaker. And there are times where you'll think that, is it really worth it? But in the end, it is worth it. Because when you reach the top of what your goals are, and that could be anything. It doesn't have to be a billionaire. It doesn't have to be driving the fancy car. When you reach your goal, you can look back, look at the struggles, and realize what it took to get there, and pass that information on and help the next person that may be struggling. That is the amazing part with the human species, is we have the ability to love like no other, and we have the ability to dislike or hate in some cases like no other. And if we focus more on the love or the empathy instead of the aggression and hate, life is, it's awesome. I mean, really, it is. Think about the abilities you have. You have these. There's not many species in the world that have these bad boys. So take that with a grain of salt. If you want to do something, you can do it. You want to change something, you can change it. Nobody can stop you. Nobody can tell you what you want. The only thing they can do is put words that go into your mind that break you down because mentally you are not strong enough. You have become weak because you allow these people to spit their nasty freaking serum, venom out of their mouth. And you allow it to break down what you think is possible. Ultimately, things are possible. Not everything is possible. You can't do anything you want. In reason, you can achieve your goals and nobody can stop you unless you allow them to. And if you don't like something, change it. If you don't like the way certain things are, run for government. If you don't like the way teachers are teaching, become a teacher. And if you don't like the way you're keeping fish, educate yourself. That's it, my brothers and sisters. It's time to get out of here. G'day, folks. Jay Wilson here. Get in the loop. Don't be... Folks, this is going to be a while to shut these things off, so it's going to be really weird when I say holla. But yeah, holla. Now to turn this thing off. This is going to take a while.